Hey guys, welcome to today's video, and today I'm going to be ranking every NHL team going into this season. So start off with the Ducks. We're putting them in a rebuild state. They are not going to be that great, but with the addition of Killorn, it's definitely going to help. I just don't know if they're able to get back right now. The Coyotes are going to be horrible. I don't see them going anywhere anytime soon. They could potentially go somewhere else, so... Yeah. Boston, I think they could either be in the rebuild or wild card this year. I'll put them in the wild card to cut them some slack because they honestly, I don't think they're going to be as good as last season. I mean, they could make the wild card. I'm just putting them right now for now. Then we got the Buffalo Sabres. I'm putting them in wild card. They are really close to making the playoffs. Last year they were. Not quite, but then this year it looks like this is one of their years. The Calgary Flames, I would say they could be in a wild... No. See, this is what I hate about tier lists, guys. Like, it's so glitchy. Okay, there we go. The Flames. I'm going to say they're in a wild card spot. They could be pretty good, but they also could not be that great. But they're in the wild card spot right now. I'll put them. The Hurricanes, I'll put them for a playoff lock. I don't think they're cup contenders yet. I think they're a playoff lock. It just seems like every time they're so close, they always can't get there. You got the Blackhawks. They're in a rebuild right now. They aren't going to be horrible this year, but they aren't going to be that great either. They're with a new addition of Bedard, Perry, and Hall. They'll be pretty good. Colorado Avalanche are definitely cup contenders this year. They still got almost all of their core players. They lost some players, but they got some pretty good ones. With Thomas Tatar to help in there, I think that's going to help the Avalanche. They could win the Stanley Cup again. The Columbus Blue Jackets. They are in a rebuilding state. I don't think they'll be horrible this year. Not as bad as last year, because last year was, I don't know what happened last year, but that was bad. So that shouldn't happen to them, but it did. But this year I think it's going to be a little bad for them. Stars. The Stars are definitely a playoff lock. They are one of the best teams in the NHL. I wouldn't say they're a cup contender just yet, but if they become really good this season, they will become a cup contender. Here we go, the Red Wings. The Red Wings, I'll put them in a wild card spot. They aren't too great, but they are rebuilding, and they have a good core offense, so they could potentially make the playoffs this year in the wild card. The Oilers are definitely cup contenders with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. The only thing that can make them a higher level is with a new goalie. Not saying anything bad to Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner could still be a starter, but you got to have a good backup in there. Jack Campbell didn't do well like he should have. You expected a Jack Campbell to start the whole season and be a good goalie. He isn't as good as he was in Toronto just like 2 years ago. Now we got Florida. Florida is a playoff lock, I think. I don't think they're a cup contender yet, but I do think they are a playoff lock. So that's that. The Kings, I think they are a playoff lock. They usually are right in the mix of that, and I think it's just going to be the same old as for the past few years. The Minnesota Wild. The Minnesota Wild being a playoff lock. They really need to go somewhere in the playoffs, or else they're not going to get anywhere this season. The Canadians. I don't think the Canadians are going to be horrible. I think they're going to be in a rebuilding state. I don't think they're going to be horrible, but I don't think they're going to be that great either. The Predators. The Predators, I would put them in the wild card spot. They're pretty good. I think they'll bounce back, make it the playoffs. Last year was just a weird year for the Predators, but this year I think they'll bounce back. The New Jersey Devils. I don't have them as cup contenders yet, but I do have them as a playoff lock. Last year was just a surprising year for them, and this year I don't think it's going to be no different than last year. We got the Islanders now. The Islanders are an interesting team. I think the Islanders can either be in the rebuilding or the playoffs, but I think they're going to be in the playoffs for now. I think they're going to be wild card for now. They could drop down to rebuilding, but they're still the Islanders. They still have some of those good players. New York Rangers, definitely a cup contender. Now, They lost their coach, but they still got those players. And if they can make such far this year, I really think they could win the cup. I think they're going to win the cup this year. The Senators. I have the Senators being a rebuilding team. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I think they could be close to the wild card. I just don't think they're at that level yet. I think next year, it'll be a big year for them, though. The Flyers will be horrible this year. I don't think they're going to be that great. They've lost so many players, and they have the only good player they've added is Mark Stahl. That's it. And they haven't been that great the last few years. So they need to do something soon, or else it's not going to be good. Now I got the Penguins. The Penguins, I put them in a wild card spot. Now with the addition of Erik Karlsson, that's definitely going to help them. But I really don't see what's going to be so great about their backup goalie. For Tristan Jarry to start all season, that's going to be really tough for him. And I think that's what's putting these Penguins back, is that their goalie's going to have to be playing almost the whole season. How we got the San Jose Sharks? The Sharks. I think the Sharks will be in a rebuilding state this year. I think it'll be great, but I think they'll bounce back a little bit. Last year was just horrible for them. They didn't play good at all. So I think they'll be okay. The St. Louis Blues. Now, I know I am missing the Kraken, but I am putting the Kraken in a playoff lock. Just pretend the Kraken are there, okay? Now, we've got the St. Louis Blues. The St. Louis Blues are going to be horrible this year. They just aren't that great. I don't think they're as good as they were just a few years ago. Heck, they could have a totally bounce-back season this year. I just don't see it happening anytime soon. Their roster isn't that great. They only have Buchnevich and Jordan Kyrou doing great. Of course, Baby Bennington just being in there is not great. Now we got the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't think they're cup contenders right now. They are definitely a playoff lock, but I don't really know if they could turn to cup contenders. Playoff lock right now, I think they could potentially turn into a cup contender, but right now it's just kind of not looking too pretty for them. They could potentially move down to a wild card this year, but I am keeping them at playoff lock right now. So, Tampa Bay Lightning are still going to be pretty good, but they just need to keep consistent. Last year they were not consistent at all. Now we got Toronto. Toronto is definitely a cup contender. Toronto, even though y'all make those memes about them not making the first round, well, they beat my Tampa Bay Lightning. Respect to all Maple Leafs fans. Y'all great. Anyway, y'all have a good chance at winning the cup this year. If y'all can just get past that second round, and like last year to Florida, y'all are probably going to go all the way if y'all can get it past round 2. That's going to be a huge year for y'all. I got Vancouver. Vancouver is in the wild card spot this year. Now, I know what you're thinking. Vancouver sucks. They aren't a good team. Well, in my opinion, I think the Vancouver Canucks are just fine. If they could get some good trades in, they just got Smith. That's a good goalie. That's good to back up Thatcher Demko. It's good that Demko has a backup that's actually mediocre and knows what he's doing. He has a good experience, and I feel like Vancouver could potentially make the playoffs this year. Now we got Vegas. Vegas, it's weird for me. I think you're going to hate me for this. I just don't really think Vegas is going to be in the groove. I think they're in the wild card spot right now. They could potentially turn up the playoff lock. I just don't see them being as good as they were last year. Last year was such a good year for them, but this year it might just go down all the way again. Now I got Washington. Washington, I wouldn't say they're horrible. I think they're a rebuilding state. I just don't get why Washington had such a bad year last year. They will be better this year. But I just don't know what happened with them. Now we got the Winnipeg Jets, the last team on this list. The Winnipeg Jets are actually pretty good. They're okay, but heck, I'm trying to lean toward the wild card, but I'm trying to lean to the rebuilding part too. I will put them in the wild card part for right now. There's so many wild card teams that could potentially make the playoffs this year, but honestly, if I had to pick the teams that wouldn't be in the wild card at the end of the season, I would either pick the Flames or I'd pick Vancouver or Pittsburgh. or Winnipeg. Those are the teams that would not be in the wild card at the end of the season. But I mean, right now it looks like they could be in that spot. I mean, yeah. So just Winnipeg is just, it was a surprising year for them last year, and it was a good year. So hope you guys like those rankings. I definitely probably ruffled some feathers about Vegas. And I probably ruffled some feathers about Toronto being a cup contender, but it's true, guys. I mean, heck, those can be like the final, the conference finals, dude. Like, yeah, that's just unbelievable. I mean, Tampa Bay, I'm a diehard Tampa Bay fan. They are like my team. They are good. They're going to be better than last year. Last year was just so weird for them. Like a 45 and 24 record or something like that. 42 and 30 record. That was not good. But I think the Lightning could be a playoff lock right now, but they could potentially look up to being a cup contender this year. And yeah, I just think Tampa Bay's right there right now. I think they're fine where they're at. But yeah, this is my list. I think the only team that's in the rebuilding or horrible that can move up is the. Y'all might be surprised with this, but I think the Canadians can move up. I think they're actually not going to be that bad this year. But, I mean, it's the Canadians. Like, the past few years, they've just sucked. But this year, they could bounce back. But these are my rankings. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys!